Hey, this is Martin again, and we are back in the utilities control building getting ready to wire up the battery recharging circuit into the utilities breaker box. This is actually grid breaker box right here that we have very limited things running off of this, but one of the things that we want to run off of this is the ability to recharge the batteries if the batteries get depleted. And we do have a generator, actually a couple of generators that we can use for recharging the batteries. Just right now it's cheaper to run off of the grid than it is for recharging batteries than it is to fire up the generator with fuel costs the way they are right now. So, and then plus it would give a little bit of a cleaner wave or signal going in for the operation of everything from here as it will from a generator. So anyway, that's the next thing I'm going to do, wire up a 220 breaker that's going to feed over to where the inverter charger is, that when it's plugged into this circuit, it will use this as a backup charging system or method for the batteries in our battery string here. Okay, I've got all that hooked up and everything is good to go. I'm going to recap this whole system for you real quick just because it kind of sounds a little complex, but it's actually much simpler than what it will sound when I try to explain it. We have three sources of electricity here on the property. We've got the utility grid, we've got a solar panel set up outside here that feeds through the charge controller and then into the batteries. From the batteries, we can go through this inverter charger and into the cabin and other places on the property. And then also, we've got a generator, a couple of generators that we use as backup if everything else fails, I guess. So the reason that we have so many is kind of redundancy for one thing, and good backup systems for another. So to start with, right here, the box that I just got done wiring that breaker into, that actually feeds directly from the meter from the power company. Okay, and from here, there's very limited places where that goes. It feeds some tools, it feeds the things like the laundry dryer, which is 220, which is a heat source and pulls a lot of electricity. It feeds that just for convenience. And it feeds a couple of dedicated circuits inside the cabin that we use or don't use depending on what we want to do with them. The batteries, of course, are right there, and there's two 48-volt banks of batteries there, and they come in through here, of course. But then the inverter is sort of the magic that makes things function the way it does here, and it feeds the cabin and other circuits around the property here, and it pulls it from primarily the batteries. This has a setting on it that lets you set the batteries as the priority source that it pulls from. When the batteries deplete, and there's settings here that you can, I won't try to explain all of that, but there's settings here that says when the batteries reach this level, it will automatically kick over to whichever we have it connected to, whether it's the generator or whether it's to the utility grid, to recharge the batteries until they're full again, and then it switches back to the batteries. And that's done. Right now I've got it plugged into the generator circuit down here, which is the one we wired up a couple of days ago. And right now this backup source is pulling from the generator if the batteries get depleted and we want to charge them back up with generator. By connecting here Now it's set up so that it will pull its recharge capacity if the batteries deplete right from the electrical grid. So right now there's a couple of benefits to running off of the utility grid for the backup charging system from the inverter. And the first one is it provides a much cleaner signal on the electricity. The generator, if we're bypassing all of this and running straight generator, you get a lot of pulsating in the lights and I'm sure everything else. And by running the generator through the inverter, it takes most of that out, but there's still a very faint flickering of the lights where it's getting the pulsing from the generator and the motor that's powering the generator. By connecting into the utility grid, then it gets a real clean, non-pulsing, very smooth signal coming through there. The other thing is just simply economics. Right now it costs more to charge everything up and to run the generator than it does just simply plug it into the utility grid. So from an economics point of view, it makes sense there. Anyway, that's it. And you know, we kind of feel that we have to have the utility grid here just for some of our other functions that we do here. So if you got to have it, you might as well utilize it, make it as economical as we possibly can, which is, I believe, what we've done here. And so far, everything is working good. I've got zero complaints on any of this. The only thing is that I know that we're going to have to do at some point is we really need to increase the number of solar panels, because with the amount of sun that we get here, they charge everything back up, but I don't think that they get a chance to really charge the batteries to their full capacity before we start losing sun during the day. And then the other thing is at some point we may increase the battery bank, but right now it's running our cabin really well. So this is Martin. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we'll see you next time. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a like and a share, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below and the notification bell. See you next time.